want to talk today about secrets in relationships. This is Cheryl Arrington on the road to your heart. Love being here with my dear friend, Dr.
Michael Burley.
Yes, and we're here today to talk about relationships. We just are having such good times sharing our knowledge and our thoughts. And I hope some of some people are getting something, learning, helping them with relationships because relationships are hard.
And our experience.
And our
That
experience.
still has some value.
I know. I feel like, yes, I've been doing this for a long time. And it's, what it does have value is our life experience too, because it really helps with being a therapist, plus having your life experience. But Michael, I want to talk today about secrets in relationships. Should we always be so candid with one another, tell our partner everything that's on our mind? Or is it sometimes good not to say everything we're thinking or feeling?
That is a tough question.
Yes.
But I think the pitfall is the word secrets. Because I think secrets implies some
like an affair or
Yes,
something.
exactly.
Yes.
And I understand, and that's certainly one
Yes.
set of secrets or kinds of things. But I think what you're addressing is just, a lot of things cross your mind.
Right.
The running joke I have in relationship, it's like, do I look fat in this red dress? The infamous question that men get. And, if there was ever a pitfall on that one, I know that trick. So
what is it, Michael? What is that trick?
You'll look great in that dress.
Honey, you look beautiful.
You'll look great in that dress.
Oh,
So it's sort of a running joke, but I think,
yes.
I think we're also individuals, and a lot of things blow through my head, and I don't have to share every single thing that I'm thinking, things that just are off key, off color, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, I just think
Sometimes you don't say.
some things are just better left unsaid. You don't have to know every single thing that we think about.
I get that. Okay, so let's dissect this a little because that's what I like to do. Break it down maybe into some parts, components. I agree. So lots of things go through our mind when we're with our partner, such as, oh, he's really driving me crazy, or she's really driving me crazy. Oh no, not that again. Or how many times did I have to ask you to do X, Y, and Z? And very typically, a woman, will ask her partner, because we want to look good. And you know what? It matters that yesterday we want you to tell us that. 10 years from yesterday, we want you to tell us that. No matter when we ask that question, it is so important that a man makes a good decision about that. Unless, you feel like, she could take it. Maybe you try that instead of that.
But sometimes I think people are so critical. How about just sort of being supportive?
Supportive,
Everything
yes.
is not on edge. Everything is not a major decision has to be made.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
So-
I agree. So I think you have to expect that when you live with someone over a period of time, every day, day to day, and especially you have children and you have the pressures of your work and all of that, that maybe, yes, it is a good idea to not say everything that you're thinking and feeling, for sure.
I agree. I mean, I think it's important to share. I don't think there's any question, and you're a big proponent of that.
Yes.
It's important to share, real deep feelings about various things that happen and thoughts you might have. But there are so many things, if you really allow yourself, that blows through my head in the course of a day, and some of them are just better left alone. by themselves.
And process it within yourself before you
Before you
actually,
put it out there,
yes.
because things can be sort of heard the wrong way, taken the wrong way, and then you're off in a conversation and a disagreement and a hurt set of feelings that have nothing to do with real.
With
You know
what's
what I
going
mean?
on.
So
Definitely.
yeah, I'm a proponent of you don't have to say everything that goes through your head all the time.
So when do we do need to talk then and speak up? Well, first of all, let's do this. Let's again start on the positive. Let's try to be as complimentary and as appreciative with our language to our partner as possible, because that tends to put you in a whole different space. You do start to notice the little things they do for you rather than what they aren't, rather than putting in a complaint and thinking this is less than, you're less than. Let's say, this is what you do on a daily basis. I appreciate that. I like that.
There is nothing wrong with an unlimited supply of
Mm-hmm.
honest compliments and supportive statements and sort of sharing the joy that you're with the other person.
Sharing the joy, yes, and making that more and focusing on that rather than, again, having that inner dialogue about all the complaints that are sitting here. Not that we shouldn't talk about important issues, so we should. So, you know what might be a good idea, Michael, is if I'm thinking, let's say, I have negative thoughts or I'm not happy with certain things you're doing as my partner, I think the best thing to do sometimes, write it down first. Write it down and look at it and have some kind of analytical discussion with yourself before you decide what topic to bring up or what to say.
But never write it down in an email and hit
then
that send button.
or write it down where here it's on the calendar and you can put, what?
Well, exactly. You have to not be so trigger happy
Right.
to yes, write it down, which gives you, by the way, some distance.
It does give you
Take a look at it.
distance.
You look and you think, this is such a big deal. It's not, or this is really important. Let me not pass over it.
Mm-hmm.
Just think distance gives you a perspective.
It does.
And I think it comes back to, we've talked about this, about impatience. People write something, boom, they hit the send button, and then you are off and running. Once it's out there in the universe, all bets are off.
Now, we had talked about this in our last podcast, which was if I have certain feelings about something, if I sit on those feelings. So this goes back to maybe, again, a secret, but it's more of unsaid taboo subjects that I'm sitting on, and now they're festering inside of me, and they're starting to give me reason to emotionally distance myself in the relationship. What do you think? I think then it's time for
Sharing.
yes.
Oh, totally agreed. I mean, if it's important, I think you have to share it. I think the whole notion about secrets, though, it sort of curves off into, what does it mean to have a secret as opposed to just you have a set of feelings, you're in a relationship, there's a lot of give and take, but you don't have to comment about everything all the time.
You do not have to. But I would guess with couples that there are topics of discussion. I like that word taboo. Like I've tried talking to you about, let's say, our sex life, or I've tried talking to you about, I really need some romance before we hit the bed, honey. And there's nothing's changing, nothing's happening, and you're going, yeah, I hear, okay, yeah, yes, and then it goes back into me going, well, I guess that's not happening, or I've tried and he's not really changing or doing anything. Maybe I should stop talking about it. So that inability then becomes an internal, sits inside. I don't know what to call it, a secret. I file it away, and it's not healthy.
No, I agree. If anything, forget not healthy, I think it's corrosive.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because that one will eat you up. It'll burn through you. And I think that whole notion, people say, oh, sure, I can put it aside. I don't believe that for a second. I believe, first of all, the unconscious, but even in the conscious, when someone says, I'm not going to deal with it, I always feel like I have the image that thing grabs you by the foot, by the ankle, and it never lets go.
Good image.
You know what I mean? You're always sort of moving like away from it,
But it's
to not deal with it, but it's always there. It's like you say, I'm not going to talk about our romantic life. Oh, okay.
okay.
Do you have me feeling better? No. You want to go, yeah, right? You know what I mean? So I think those kinds of secrets, or whatever we want to call them, I think that's just sort of inner feelings that are important to be shared.
Now, I think something else will probably happen, and that's when you might feel, I'm not that attracted to my partner, I wouldn't say anymore, but I don't know. It's going to happen that you're not going to feel, ooh, yeah, all that. I'm always going to be attracted to you because so many factors are going to come into play. I'm not necessarily, let's discuss that, how we should handle that to say it or to just allow yourself to go, well, that's normal. It's okay. What can we do to make that happen again?
I vote on the side of some things are better left unsaid.
Okay.
And
Especially that one,
yes,
probably.
and then maybe addressing the whole notion of the lack of romance or the lack of connectedness, or you look exhausted and overwhelmed. It's like there's a difference between, God, you look so ugly today. I don't quite say it like that, but you know what I mean? But it's like, boy, do you look like a wreck, as opposed to, boy, you really look exhausted. What can I do to sort of lighten it a little
Light
bit?
in your
It's like you can't be in that romantic, lustful, semi-fantasy world all the time. That's just not real.
It is.
That you have adult relationships, sexual, sensual, romantic, it waxes and wanes like everything else.
Yes.
When you're tired and you're stressed out, the last thing you're into is some romantic interlude.
This is very true.
You know what I mean?
For
Because life, you can't think straight. And then there are other times, when you want to just say, you know what? Everything else, let's just put it aside. Let's just spend some time together like we used to.
Definitely. So having a running conversation with oneself is very important to check in and understand what I need to say, what I better keep here. Now, so obviously, sometimes you can contact the therapist, let the therapist be the person you start to dump out your
it's also
other
a
feelings.
safe place.
It's a safe place.
As you say, you're not taking one side or the other.
No.
You are the proponent of the couple and the relationship.
Yes, exactly.
So you're that different vote. It's hard to say. We had talked previously about it's like having kids and losing the center of attention. It's hard to say, let's throw out the baby and the bathwater and go back to the good old days.
Right.
That doesn't serve any purpose.
Now, here's where secrets begin to become toxic, like we're talking about. And that's when the other person starts thinking, I might want to trade in this one and try something over here. Or, wow, this person's really giving me a lot of attention and they really look attractive. Where when I come home, I'm just getting, arguments and I'm not happy.
It's illusory. It's not real. It's just, listen, we've seen how many of those stories. It's like the person trades in the family and the overworked, parent for some 25-year-old, some new and young and light and doesn't have children. And you know what I mean? All of the above. You know what? It's very short-sighted.
It can be short-sighted, very extremely tempting, though.
I understand the
tempting.
temptation, and I understand what that temptation is about, but that doesn't mean we have to give it to every temptation there is.
Really? Yeah, I
You
agree.
mock,
I know,
but you know
right?
it's true. You know what I mean? So yes, it would be. Somebody once said to me, this was many years ago. It's like something about, um, you know, something about liberated women. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
like, are you involved? Wouldn't it be nice to be with liberated? I said, nice. That's all I've known. Every woman I've come across in this generation,
They
is
speak up.
incredibly
Mhm.
self-sufficient
Yes.
and powerful
Yes.
and owns their womanhood.
Right.
They're
Right.
not kids, they're not girls, they're
Right.
women.
Right.
They said, yeah, I'd take maybe 2 weeks of the non-liberated, but that's it.
Mhm.
So I understand the temptation, but you can't give in to that. You have to be thoughtful about your own life.
And again, then it goes back to then as a couple, how do we navigate if we're thinking, I've been sitting on this, I've been trying to talk, it's not working, I'm not getting anywhere, I'm getting worn out. What will we suggest people do?
Therapy is a nice place. I think being in groups sometimes, listening to that and hearing it, well, maybe also to start from the beginning, it's like carving out some time with each other. Okay?
Right. Again,
It's like, again, work is, yes, I know, relentless. Kids are relentless. But if you can't find the time, then that relationship is not going to last because both of you will be incredibly resentful. You're worn down, and there's nothing that regenerates you. Work is hard and you can be successful, you can make a lot of money, but so what in the end? So what? You can
exactly.
have so many possessions, but that's not what we're after, I think.
Now, here's some other secrets we really haven't mentioned, and that might be maybe I've never talked to anybody, not even my partner, that I was sexually abused or
Family secrets
yeah,
are real bad.
family secrets that I'm still holding on because if I told you this, you would never want to have married me or be with me. That's a very important subject to talk about.
See, I agree with you 100%. I think those are secrets that are held and that are painful
So
and part of one's history. And I think if you really love and respect the other one, then you need to share that with them. You need to unburden yourself. It's not fair to you. Something has happened previously, abusive situation. It could be physical, it could be, emotional, it could be the range of things. You know what? You don't have to carry that alone. It's
No.
criminal. It's
It
really
is.
awful.
Even depression or being bipolar, these things come into our relationships and we haven't addressed them even within ourselves. So what we're really saying is do not be ashamed of any of these things. It's important to address it.
Yeah,
Yes.
those are secrets that to me absolutely need to be shared. Those are secrets because they've been painful for a long period of time. And you know what? When you're a kid, you are not equipped to handle it. It's such a betrayal of trust
Right.
that now hopefully you're in a trusting relationship and you can unburden yourself. It's just not fair, that you have to carry that by yourself.
Okay, so some advice here maybe about communication, which we always go back to. It has to be healthy, positive, good communication. So if you
With
feel
clarity.
with clarity, so if you feel like you're holding on to, let's go back to these more secrets about like abuse or depression, even feeling suicidal. The worst thing you can do is feel alone, like Michael was saying. It's so important that you reach out for help, that you are able to say to your partner, I might not have ever been able to tell you this, but it's time for me to tell you these things. And for if you're a partner and you're person comes to you and says this, don't go, oh my God, what's going to happen?
No.
Stay open, listen.
Well, that's it comes back to what you and I spoke about from the beginning in this
Yes.
fight. It's about relationships.
Yes.
You're not alone. That is one of the great functions of a relationship. You're in the soup with somebody else. You're in it together. And together means sharing both the good stuff and the painful stuff. It takes the burden off you. It shares it, and you don't have to carry it alone anymore. You don't have to feel ashamed about it, embarrassed by it, or
No,
weighted down by it.
exactly. So be able to check in with yourself. If you do feel like you're carrying those kinds of more heavy secrets, then it's time also maybe to contact a therapist so you feel I have somebody I can maybe process this with so I know how to approach my partner. But at the same time, if you want to open up any kind of discussion with your partner, I would say let's set the table, so to speak. And that means I would say, Michael, I have something I really need to talk to you about. It's very important to me. I've never told you this before. Can you just listen? I'm not looking for advice. This is really hard for me to do.
Right.
And so, what would be a good response if somebody came to you with that?
The answer is absolutely. I will just listen, hopefully without any judgment, to just be able to take it in so you can be lighter,
Yes.
and then we can talk about whatever it is. But first, get it out. And I'm just going to listen.
Set.
The other piece I think is, as a man, I think we fall into the trap of we want to be the saviors. We always want to
Right.
have a solution. And sometimes, as you say, it's just about listening. I don't have
Mhm.
the answer. I don't have a solution. I don't have a plan of action. I'm just here to listen. So let's get it out.
Let's get it out. You cannot understand if you've never had that experience how healing that is, how validating your whole, if you're having anxiety, it just starts to settle inside and go, oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm finally having someone I can talk to about
You
this.
probably feel about 10 pounds lighter.
You do
also.
feel much,
Yeah.
much
Oh, do you?
lighter. So really, really, it again, those kinds of secrets we do not want to be holding on to because they will absolutely interfere or come out in some shape or form later on in the relationship. Now, if it's the day-to-day kind of pile up of complaints, or like we were talking about being unhappy or this or that, I still like the idea of first kind of sorting it out in yourself to be able to again come to the table and say, can we talk about this? Yeah, this is starting. I've tried to talk about it with you. Nothing has been resolved. Maybe we need to readdress this again.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly, I think, the healthy approach. The other thing is that first piece, you have to be honest with yourself.
You do have to
You
be
know,
honest with
it's like
yourself.
we're embarrassed sometimes we think about things and we think, wow, like how could I be so selfish or so whatever it is? But I think you have to look at it honestly, and then at least you can get it out. The other stuff is like self-serving. And that's just a big waste of time.
It is
You
a
know what I
big
mean?
waste of time, definitely. And again, we want to normalize it's perfectly fine. You're never going to be 100% happy with your partner. I always say if you're 60%, it's okay. It's still,
I'm not 100% happy with me.
yes,
On
right.
most days. Let's start with that.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So you
Yes.
go from there. You understand people are vulnerable and
Mhm.
they're people.
Yes. So let's try to be as open as we can. Now, if you feel like you've approached your partner and you have tried to talk about things that are difficult and you're still having problems, but you're getting nowhere, and that's women do that just as much as men do that, that's the time you better contact a therapist because sometimes what I see and I hate seeing it is that one person has tried and tried and tried to approach a subject that is sensitive or is hurting them. They get that shut down and then they go, okay, well, this is never going to happen. And then that a person can take that maybe for 10 years, maybe 15 years. And then one day that the straw that breaks the camel's back It happens.
Well, don't you find sometimes, however, that it's like people come to therapy, it's as if this justifies why I'm going to leave.
Yes.
This is like, okay, I'll go through the motions. I'll go for
Yes.
a while. I'm really have one foot out the door, and I'm not really into changing. I'm
Uh,
into finding a
a
justification
reason.
for leaving,
Hmm.
you know.
But I think if you have tried to open the door many times to talk about lots of different subjects and you're not getting at your person to respond or talk, it is time you have to try to talk first. Maybe go by yourself to talk to the therapist, and or tell your partner, if we don't if we can't talk about this together, can we please try to get outside help?
No, I agree. I mean, I think it's trying to do the work. Sometimes it just is never going to work out the way you want it to. It's sad,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes it's a healthier way. And I find, and I'm sure you do too, there are some people that go their own way
Mm-hmm.
that have a much healthier relationship between them.
Mm-hmm.
They're not pressured by being a good husband or a good wife. They become good parents together, good
Okay.
friends, this wasn't meant to be.
That's
And
true.
you know what? Sad, but that's reality, and that's how life works.
Yes, so that can be another way a relationships might end. But even before that happens, again, I want to recommend, you try therapy.
You got to give
You're
it a good fight.
you
at
have to give
least.
it a good fight because it's always worth examining yourself, learning different skills about relationships that most of us do not have at all. Which, this kind of goes into talking about now we have children. How many couples stay together because of the children? Understandable. It is understandable to do that. There's no right or wrong, but let's just discuss the pros and cons.
Let me put this one out this way. I think more often than not, the kids absolutely know what's going on. And we live in a fantasy, which is, we're not going to say anything, we'll be together. Kids look at parents, they don't talk to each other, they move in totally different schedules and stuff. And I have heard on more than one occasion when people split, the kids are relieved. Like you don't have to play this game anymore
Mhm.
because it's painful when you love your parents, you want it to work, but sometimes you just see how dysfunctional it is, and it's sad. You know what I mean? And so I think, I mean, and I know it's a big statement, but I think more often than not, when we stay together because of the kids, that is not the reason to stay
It's not,
together.
I agree.
No, it's painful and
Yes.
it's complicated and it's messy often,
Yes.
but that is not the driving force.
Right. But again, that's your own personal decision. And if that's what you think, we're going to do that because then it's going to be easier for us, for them, when they're off to college, having their own life. You do it if that's what you both decide, but be honest about that.
And as you say, it's about establishing a timetable that works for you.
Exactly. So, Michael, staying together, for the sake of the children, interesting. Pros and cons. I think what happens is sometimes it might be a good thing in a way because maybe then the couple might address their problems, because they do want to stay together. And that might lead to some kind of benefit for the family. So if it works that way, like you said, it's easy to leave. It's easy to find complaints. But if I work with you, we might not fool ourselves, surprise ourselves, and go, hey, we can work this out. This is good.
That is the best of worlds.
Yes, that is the best of worlds.
And I'm sure, by the way, you've seen sometimes there are couples that stay together in that situation. It's almost like, and this is not the right word, but like a business relationship.
Yes, it is.
They're friends. They live in the same house.
Right.
They're good parents to
Right.
the kids. It's just the romantic nature
Not
doesn't
there.
exist anymore. But if they're okay with it, then who are we to say you should be different?
Right.
I just think the thing you can't get into is about being resentful about that.
Right.
And staying in there for that. Then it bleeds all over the place. And then you
Yes.
look at the kids and you go, I'm only here because of you. You may
Oh,
not
that
say-
would be
You
terrible.
may not say
Yeah,
it, but you
it's-
act it. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And I think
Yes.
then you're really in trouble.
No, I agree. The resentment and then the children feeling like the tension of that is not
The
good.
kids, to me, almost, especially at a certain age, almost always know what's going on, and the folly of parent going, oh, we don't want to tell them we're getting divorced. It's like the kids go, thank goodness.
We
It's about
know, I
time.
know, right?
It's about time.
But here's one last thing about staying together or not staying together. If you decide not to stay together, please do it amicably for the sake of the children. This is, of course, the best of both worlds. You got to do that because the children get so damaged by the parents. Well, you're a mother. Well, we are not putting our children in the middle of any of it. They are children. I don't care how old they are. Do not think your child is your friend and talk about this with them. Do not complain about it. Just respect.
That I have two thoughts. One, you're absolutely right, which is you want everybody to be on your side. You're the victim in this.
Right.
And so your friends take up arms, the family, even the kids, and there's a fight for that, and it's very unhealthy.
It is.
The other thing is, I did a short film once in summer arts, and it was called Serendipity, and it was about a relationship played backwards.
Okay.
Why? Because it always struck me, which is when sometimes the relationship ends in a really nasty and bitter way, I think to myself, they were probably in love at some
They
point.
were.
And so the question is how you get from A to B, or if you start at B, how you work backwards. And I remember, that at the very beginning when the two of them met, which was sort of toward the end of the film, she said, have to promise you'll never hurt me, or something to that effect. And I thought, she's the one that actually blew this particular relationship up, is the irony of the piece. But you go from this loving to this hate, and the question is, how do you get there? It's like, is it something about people? Do we bring to it? Do we need to be the victim? Do we need to be the victor? It's complicated, and I wanted to sort of see if I could play that out. So what I had to do, actually, I had to write the relationship forwards first.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't, I had to worry about forwards to the end and then flip it, and then you have to sort of put the pieces together. But it was because it got me thinking this very thing, which is, some relationships end and people are friends forever,
Yes.
which to me is a good thing.
It's the best
At the
thing.
end, and especially if you're co-parenting,
Absolutely.
you want the kids to not have to make choices. They love both. They're different and they're both happy, and that's great. As opposed to the bad guy or the bad woman, and it really, I think it is corrosive and an easy way.
I want to say, kind of to end this today, I love doing that. That's a great exercise to do. If you find yourself in a relationship where you're really having a lot of resentment, do what Michael just said. Tell your story. Go back to the beginning and see.
It will remind you
of where you are and how it was and what happened to you individually, what happened to great story, Mom. I love it. All right. Thanks, Michael.
Pleasure as always.
Okay.